What I'm about to tell you may not just surprise you, it may completely reframe how you see yourself. If you're watching this right now, it's not a random event. You've been pulled into this moment because there's something different about you. You don't fit their templates. Their systems can't categorize you. Their records couldn't match your fingerprints to anyone. Not because of an error, but because you were never meant to be duplicated. Your DNA didn't just raise questions. It triggered a reaction so powerful, it forced the system to pay attention. That's the level you're operating on now. You're shifting from being overlooked to being undeniable. The things you've worked for, the growth you've pushed through, the identity you fought to protect, it's all starting to surface. But here's the key. This isn't just happening around you, it's happening because of you. Before we dive deeper into this message, take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers, and leave a comment to let them know you're not hiding anymore. This message isn't for everyone, and it's not supposed to be. But if you're still here by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why they couldn't file you under normal, and why they never will. You are not a product of someone else's design. You are an original blueprint, crafted with layers, depths, and complexities they could never predict. While the world around you follows familiar patterns, you are woven from threads of untamed potential, a masterpiece created without a manual. They look at you, trying to decode the chaos, but what they see as chaos is actually a harmony they simply can't comprehend. You were built with a boldness that breaks molds, with an essence too raw and true to be boxed or labeled. Every attempt to fit you into a familiar framework fails because you operate beyond their limited understanding. You aren't an echo of someone else's story. You're a fresh narrative with a voice that demands to be heard. And that voice, it's powerful enough to challenge the status quo, to shake foundations, and to carve new paths where none existed before. They weren't ready for a blueprint like you, one that disrupts, evolves, and redefines the rules. Imagine a world where every rulebook was written before you existed. How would they explain your fire, your unique blend of strength, vulnerability, and relentless spirit is something they have never witnessed. Your existence alone in a silent rebellion, a living testament that greatness cannot be predicted or contained. You are the design that defies replication, a blueprint from the future that they're only just beginning to glimpse. The beauty of being built from unseen blueprints is that no one else can replicate your journey. Your struggles, triumphs, scars, and breakthroughs create a mosaic no one else has lived. And that's your power. Your story is yours alone. So, when they try to copy or mimic you, they only reveal their limitations. They didn't build you. They simply never imagined someone could. This blueprint isn't something you keep hidden. It's something you embody every day, in every action, in every word, in every breath, because being built differently isn't a flaw. It's your superpower. And once you fully embrace that, The world has no choice but to recognize that you're not just part of the story, you are the story. There's a difference between being unseen and being uncontrollable. You don't disappear because you're invisible. You refuse to be confined. When they couldn't label you, their instinct was to erase you. But you were never meant to fit in a box. You're a force of nature, a tidal wave that refuses to be dammed. Their attempts to categorize your spirit only proved how boundless it really is. You are like wildfire, unpredictable, fierce, and unstoppable. They can try to direct it, to tame it, but it always finds a way to leap beyond barriers, leaving traces of transformation in its wake. They weren't ignoring you because you didn't exist. They couldn't handle the power you carried, and that kind of strength doesn't quietly fade away. It commands attention, whether they're ready or not. When people say you're too much, it's a reflection of their own fears and limitations. You carry emotions so raw and authentic, they unsettle the people comfortable with surface-level connections. Your intensity isn't a problem. It's proof that you live fully and unapologetically. Being uncontainable means you choose authenticity over approval, passion over complacency, and freedom over fear. Look at the great change makers in history. Those who broke chains and shattered ceilings weren't unrecognizable. They were uncontainable. They refused to be squeezed into expectations that didn't align with their truth. That same spirit burns in you, calling you to rise, roar, and rewrite the rules on your own terms. So don't mistake their confusion for invisibility. You don't vanish. You explode with brilliance. And that light, it can't be dimmed by anyone who refuses to see beyond their limited lens. It's easier for people to pretend something threatening isn't there than to face the discomfort it brings. When they encountered your truth, your depth, and your resilience, it shook the foundations of what they believed was possible. Instead of confronting their own limitations, they chose denial, a defense mechanism as old as time. They acted like you weren't real, because admitting you existed would mean acknowledging their own weaknesses. This isn't just a story about rejection. It's a tale of survival. When the system can't process complexity, it discards it. And you, with your layered emotions and unwavering spirit, became an anomaly too challenging to embrace. But the fact that they pretended you didn't exist doesn't erase your presence. It highlights how powerful you truly are. In every great story, the heroes are misunderstood, rejected, and sidelined before their time. Think of the inventors, artists, and leaders who were ignored because their ideas were too radical, too ahead of their era. They weren't invisible. They were invisible to people who weren't ready to see. And the same is true for you. Their denial isn't your fault. It's a reflection of their own blindness. When you face this kind of erasure, it hurts deeply. The sting of being overlooked by those you cared for can leave scars that take time to heal. But those scars also carry wisdom, the knowledge that your worth isn't determined by others' recognition. You exist, you matter, and your truth is undeniable, even if some choose to turn away. One day, those who pretended you didn't exist will be forced to confront the legacy you built in their absence. Your impact will be undeniable, your story unavoidable, and your presence impossible to ignore. You've been treated like a restricted file, a secret so encrypted no one could crack the code. People wanted in, they craved your trust, your time, your energy, but you weren't available on their terms. You set boundaries like walls, not to keep people out of fear, but to protect the sacred space where your true self lives. And that space? It's classified, reserved only for those who honor your value and understand your depth. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about knowing your worth. When you guard your heart fiercely, it's a declaration that you will not be anyone's fallback or convenience. They wanted access without effort, without respect, but you demanded more: authenticity, commitment, and respect. Your standards became a litmus test for who truly deserved to be part of your life. Think about the moments when you chose silence over explanation, absence over drama. That choice was power disguised as restraint. You were the locked door they desperately knocked on, but they didn't have the key. And the key, it was respect, integrity, and genuine care, qualities far too rare for many to possess. Your classification is a testament to your growth. It's a signal that you've evolved beyond the reach of casual connections and shallow intentions. You're not here for quantity, you're here for quality. And that kind of selectiveness, it's the foundation for the life you deserve. Remember, not everyone is meant to cross your threshold. Protect your classified self fiercely. It's your sanctuary and your source of power. Silence is often mistaken for surrender, but in your case, it was a weapon, calibrated, intentional, and potent. When you chose not to speak, it wasn't because you lacked words or strength. It was because you were conserving your energy, waiting for the right moment to rise. Silence became your strategy, a way to shield your soul from toxicity and to gather the power you needed to move forward with clarity and purpose. In a world obsessed with noise, your quietness was revolutionary. It unsettled people who expected you to fight battles on their terms, who wanted your reactions to fit their narratives, but you refused to be baited. You understood that sometimes the most profound victories are won in the stillness, where reflection sharpens vision and patience breeds resilience. Consider the powerhouses in history who spoke sparingly but impacted deeply. Their silence wasn't absence. It was presence on their own terms. They mastered the art of waiting, knowing that words wielded carelessly can weaken even the strongest. Your silence aligns you with this tradition of strength, wisdom, and control. Embracing silence also allowed you to listen to yourself and to the subtle signs others missed. It gave you insight that loud voices couldn't reach. And in that space, You found yourself, your truth, and your path. So never underestimate your silence. It was never a sign of defeat, but a bold, silent roar that prepared you for the greatness to come. Sometimes people think you're lost because you don't respond to their calls or fit into their rhythms. Your mind, heart, and spirit operate on wavelengths so nuanced, so advanced, that others hear only static when they try to reach you. This disconnect isn't about you being out of place. It's about you evolving faster than the world around you. Think of a radio station broadcasting on a frequency only a few can catch. Those who tune in find richness, clarity, and depth, while others dismiss it as noise or interference. Your essence vibrates at this higher pitch, making you invisible to some and magnetic to others. It's not a curse, it's a gift. The world hasn't caught up, but it will. In your journey, it's easy to feel isolated when no one seems to understand the language you speak. But isolation breeds strength. It teaches you to rely on your inner compass instead of external validation. And when you finally find your tribe, those who resonate with your unique frequency, the connection is unbreakable, electric, and transformative. History shows that pioneers, visionaries, and rebels often felt lost before their ideas were embraced. Nikola Tesla was ridiculed for concepts the world only later celebrated. Van Gogh's genius went unnoticed in his lifetime. You're in good company. Being beyond their frequency means you're ahead, leading a revolution of thought, emotion, and being. So, don't chase the static of misunderstanding. Instead, amplify your signal. The right ears will tune in, and when they do, your message will change everything. Fitting in isn't your goal, because you're not interested in replicating an old version of reality. You exist to redefine what real means, to expand the boundaries of truth, authenticity, and human experience, while others settle for surface-level versions of connection and success. You dive deep, challenging the illusions they cling to. You hold a mirror to the world, reflecting a reality that is raw, unfiltered, and often uncomfortable. Your authenticity disrupts comfort zones. It forces people to question their own masks and the narratives they tell themselves. And that's scary for many, because it means facing truths they'd rather avoid. But for you, facing and expressing these truths is freedom, the liberation from pretense, and the courage to stand fully seen, scars and all. Think about the artists, leaders, and change makers who refused to dilute their essence to fit in. They didn't blend, they exploded onto the scene, redefining norms and creating new standards for what it means to be human. You carry that same transformative energy. You're rewriting the definition of real by being unapologetically yourself, embracing both light and shadow. In a world desperate for authenticity. Your refusal to conform is revolutionary. It invites others to drop their facades and step into their own truths. And that ripple effect creates a collective awakening, one soul at a time. So celebrate the discomfort your presence creates. It's the birthplace of growth, evolution, and a new kind of reality, one where being real is the ultimate power. When you walk into a room full of people, comfortable with shallow interactions, your depth and intensity can feel overwhelming. Instead of trying to understand, they label you too much, too emotional, too intense, too different. But here's the truth. Your intensity is a reflection of your capacity to feel, to love, to fight for what matters. It's a sign that you're alive, awake, and unwilling to settle for less than you deserve. Being too much isn't a flaw, it's a superpower. It means you bring more to the table, more passion, more vulnerability, more courage. The people who dismiss you this way often struggle with their own limits, their own fears of being fully seen. They push back because your presence challenges their comfort, their complacency. Think about the trailblazers who were misunderstood in their times. Frida Kahlo with her raw emotions, Martin Luther King Jr. with his unwavering demand for justice, or Malala Yousafzai's fearless activism. All were considered too much by those unwilling to face the truths they brought. But history remembers them not for being too much, but for being just enough to change the world. You are not here to tone down your brilliance to make others comfortable. Your intensity is your invitation to live fully and love fiercely. Own it, embrace it, and watch as your so-called too much becomes exactly what the world desperately needs. You are the blueprint of a new era, one that rejects cookie-cutter expectations and embraces complexity. But the world around you wasn't ready for your full expression. They expected replicas, familiar stories, easy answers. Instead, you showed up with contradictions, depth, and a fierce refusal to compromise. And that shook their foundation because they had no guidebook for someone like you. Imagine being an artist unveiling a masterpiece that no one asked for, but everyone needs. Your colors don't fit their palettes, your shapes don't match their patterns. It's not your job to conform, it's your job to create. And creation requires boldness, vulnerability, and sometimes being misunderstood. The fact that people struggle to grasp your essence speaks less about you and more about their readiness. They want to put you in a neat little box, but you refuse to be boxed. You are an evolving blueprint, constantly refining, reinventing, and rising beyond what anyone imagined possible. You are a pioneer, exploring uncharted territories of identity, emotion, and potential. And while pioneers often walk alone at first, their path eventually lights the way for others. Your existence is a beacon for those still searching for permission to be themselves fully. So don't wait for permission or acceptance. You are the blueprint, and the world will catch up whether it's ready or not. Some people try to break you down, analyze every part, and understand you completely, but you were never meant to be cracked like a code. You are a living, breathing mystery meant to be experienced, felt, and witnessed, not dissected or simplified. Your complexity is a beautiful maze that invites exploration, not an equation to solve. Think about the most captivating works of art or music. Do you try to decode every brushstroke or note? Or do you let yourself be moved by the emotion, the story, the essence? That's how you are meant to be seen. Not through the lens of dissection, but through the heart of connection. You carry layers